To create a product, go to the product library by clicking on Estimating in the menu bar and selecting Products. Right-click in the top section of the product library and choose Add. We will now choose a product type to associate with our new product. To add a product type, right-click in the white box and choose Add and type in the name. And then press Enter. After giving the product a name, a type, we will now give it a name. Our product has been created and we can now set some default values for this product. We'll go ahead and give it a description. And some default size values. We will now add an image and a thumbnail for our product by right-clicking on Image and choosing Change Image and browsing to our image. Select it. And we'll do the same for thumbnail. Right-click in the window, choose Change Image, and we'll choose the same image for the thumbnail. Now we'll associate costs with our products. There are two types of costs, labor and material. We'll start with labor by selecting a labor tab and right-clicking in the gray box, and we're going to choose the departments that we'll use on this cabinet. So we'll choose the box shop to create the cabinet, and we'll associate a time in hours. We'll add a few more departments that this cabinet or this product would go through during its production. The labor rates are being populated from what we configured in settings. If you want to change the labor rate for a specific item, you go to Settings, Options, Labor. And we can see here that we have a category for installation that is $60, and all of our other departments and operations are in the $50 rate. We'll close out of here and we can see that that's being reflected in our labor cost for this product. We would now add material costs for this product. You right-click and you add a part. Normally I would start with defining what the product is that we're creating and choosing a part. So in this case, let's start with the cabinet sides for this base one-door cabinet. And we're going to use 3/4 inch wide melamine, a 4x8 sheet, and a particle board core. In the note, I like to put in the component that I'm working on. So this would be the sides. And we would go ahead and add a formula. What the formula is going to do is to tell us, depending on the sizes that we put in for this product, how much material we need. Since we're working on the cabinet sides, we want to write a formula that will calculate how much material will go into the sides. So we will be dealing with the height times the depth, and since we have two sides, we'll times that by 2. And we can test this by pressing evaluate, and we can see that this is returning that we are going to use 1,536 inches of this sheet. Now that's correct, but that's not really a good amount for us to cost off of. We want to cost this off of a portion of a sheet. So the first thing we're going to do is we'll encase this in parentheses, and we're going to divide it by 144 to tell us how many square feet of material we're using. And here again, if we were pricing by square footage, then this would suffice, but where we're pricing by 4x8 sheet, we want to know how much of a sheet we're using, so we're going to put it in parentheses once again and divide it by 32 because it's a 4x8 sheet. and we can see that we're using this number here, this portion of a sheet. Now, to clean this up a little bit where we don't have so many numbers behind the decimal point, we're going to use the round function. We're just going to type round with a capital R, and then in case everything in parentheses, we just need to add a comma, and then the number of digits that we want to round to. In this case, I'll choose 2. We can see that we're going to use 0.33 of a sheet for this for these cabinet sides. Okay, and now that we have the sides, we will go ahead and we're going to right-click it and duplicate row, and we're going to figure out the materials needed for the top and bottom. Now the part will be the same, 3/4 inch white melamine, and the formula is going to copy over because we duplicated it, and it's going to be very similar. Only difference being, since we're dealing with the top and bottom, we now want the width instead of the depth. Now, because our cabinet sides are 3/4 inch thick, we actually want to subtract them from our calculation here for the tops and bottoms. So we'll take width minus 1.5 inches, 3/4 of an inch for each side, and we'll encase this in parentheses. And then we're timesing it by 2, of course, because we have a top and a bottom, and doing the same formula to get it into a portion of the sheet that we'll go ahead and evaluate. And use 0.3 of a sheet here. Okay, now we would just continue this thought process to identify the rest of the components needed for this product. And next, maybe we would choose the adjustable shelves that would go in this cabinet. So I'm going to right-click the top and bottom, and we're going to duplicate them. And we're just going to rename this, maybe I'll just call it 2 adjustable shelves. We can edit the formula. Now the formula for an adjustable shelf is going to be the same as the top and bottom. Now there might be slightly different because of the back or the allowance for the shelf pin, but typically I would leave it the same as the top and bottom. That's what we'll do for this example. And maybe next we would go ahead and add the door and the edge banding. To keep this video from being too long, we'll just skip ahead and we'll add the hardware that would go into this cabinet. So maybe we would have a bloom hinge plate and a bloom hinge. So I'll go ahead and we'll select a bloom hinge here, and we know that this hinge would have 2, one for the top, one for the bottom. We can go ahead and we can duplicate this, and we will change our part to be the bloom hinge plate that we want. Now no formula is needed here because we just changed the quantity to 2. And we would just continue on adding the material for this cabinet in the same fashion, calculating with a formula when we need to get precise measurements of a part that we're ordering.